Morning, peeps. Good morning, everyone. All right, let's see what there is to chat about today. There might not be much because obviously we did a video yesterday. We did a live yesterday. Thank you to everyone that jumped on the live. Much appreciated. So I feel like we might have covered quite a lot already, but this is boxing. A lot can happen in a few hours. Let's be honest, a lot can happen. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. A lot here about Evander Holyfield and Oscar Valdez, to be fair, but more on Evander Holyfield, that he shouldn't be allowed to fight this weekend. He's gonna fight, so I guess there's not much we can do. But I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I haven't sort of done any research on it, but where this fight initially was going to take place, they wouldn't license Evander Holyfield. I don't know what state it was, but they wouldn't license Evander Holyfield, so they moved this to another state. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I know that's happened in the past, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, Evander Holyfield shouldn't be allowed to fight at 58. And it's funny because I read a statement. I don't know who sanctioned this fight. Is it Nevada? But I read a statement and they said that he's passed these medicals like with flying colours, like he's okay. It's like, there's no fucking way he's passed all these medicals. That's just bullshit. But Evander Holyfield does fight. He fights Vitor Belfort. That, to be fair, is in good shape, is in good nick. I'm not quite sure how old Vitor Belfort is, but he must be touching nearly 50 as well, but he's in much better shape than Evander Holyfield. Like, Vitor Belfort's been fighting. Not a lot, but he's been fighting. But yeah, crazy. Honestly, what a crazy fight card this is. I mean, we laugh at the YouTubers, right? We dig them, the YouTubers. This is crazier. Honestly, I know people might say it's not. It is. Evander Holyfield, 58, fighting Vitor Belfort. David Haye fighting his friend. And then what's the other one? Tito Ortiz fighting Anderson Silva in a boxing match. And we laugh at YouTubers. That's crazy. And then all of a sudden, like a random one on it, Jonah Carroll versus Andy Vences. Like, how so random that there's a real fight on the card. Jonah Carroll's an interesting one because he seems to just like have a fight on MTK, then a fight with Matchroom, then a fight on this type of bill. I'm gonna look at his record without even checking it. I feel like he's win-loss, win-loss, win-loss in his last couple, but I could be wrong. Let's have a look. Okay, only 2 defeats. So he lost to Tevin Farmer. Then he fought a guy called Valenzuela, who was 2011. Then he beat Scott Quigg, which was a good performance. Maxie Hughes is what derailed it. He was supposed to beat Maxie Hughes. Obviously, Maxie Hughes has gone on to become the IBO lightweight champion, and he lost. Then he's fought a guy called Arobatian, never heard of this guy, in Malaga, and now he's fighting Vences, which should be a very good fight, by the way. But yeah, strange couple of years for Jonah Carroll. Sorry. Let's see what he can do, because I actually like him. I actually like Jonah Carroll. I think he's quite a character, knows how to sell a fight. Good fighter as well. Tricky, southpaw. Don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him after this one, because he's still a name. He'll still be able to sort of put himself in a position to get some decent fights. But I always find it weird when he kind of like fights on cards like this. I say cards like this. This is probably the only one, isn't it, that he's done. But yeah, look, good luck to Jonah Carroll on whatever he's doing. All right, what else is there to talk about? By the way, the Oscar Valdez thing, I mean, look, I've said my piece on it already. I mean, there's no way Oscar Valdez should be allowed to fight this weekend. No way at all. And his name now will be tarnished forever. Like, there will always be that asterisk next to him now. No matter what, it's true. There will be. I know, like, not everyone knows the ins and outs of the drug and whether or not it was a masking agent and whether or not he is actually cheating. But the fact is, this has now been blown up and his name's going to be red flagged all the time. Every time a boxer fights him now and they have a press conference and they're going back and forth, they'll call him a cheater all the time, and he won't be able to defend it. So it's a shame, because I do like Oscar Valdez, but you know, the facts are the facts. And it now makes me look back at that Miguel Bichel performance, and it was, for me, one of the performances of this year. But now I look at it and I think, do you know what I mean? And that's what he's done. That's what he's done, or that's what his team have done. I'm not quite sure. I was watching a presser yesterday, Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, obviously in the lead up to this fight with Deontay Wilder, and he sort of done his hit list, didn't he? He says, you know, he's going to fight Deontay Wilder, smash him. He's such a good salesman. Honestly, he's such a good... I was thinking, who's the better salesman, Tyson Fury or David Haye? It's close, but I think Tyson Fury is very, very good. But yeah, he was like, oh, Deontay Wilder. And then he's like, the AJ fight isn't going to happen next, is it, Frank? He looked at Frank and said, you know what, so I'm going to beat Dillian White, smash him, you know. And then he says, I'm going to have the fights of Anthony Joshua back to back, and then we'll do Derek Chisora. And I was like, no one actually believes you, Tyson. Like, there's no one watching that. And it's like, oh, yeah, no one actually believes. And that's a shame. That's a shame, because I think a motivated Tyson Fury is capable of doing that run. I really do. I think when Tyson Fury is on his A game, and I think we've seen it in a couple of performances, and that's the problem, only a couple of performances. But when he's on his A game, he's very, very difficult to beat. But he's never going to do that run. He's never, ever going to do that run. And look, Tyson Fury could be the best boxer of this era. Could be. It's not rubber stamped. I mean, I think people think he's number one, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's the best boxer. And what I mean by that is, I think Anthony Joshua's got a better body of work. Like, I do. I think Tyson Fury might have the best couple of wins in Klitschko and Wilder, but I think Anthony Joshua's body of work is a lot better. But Tyson Fury, if, like, when it's all said and done, and Tyson Fury wants to kind of be, like, compared to the legends and the greats of the sport, what he's done so far is not even going to get him into the conversation. It's not. I know some people, especially after the Wilder, the second fight, people are like, you know, could Tyson Fury beat Muhammad Ali? You know, Tyson Fury, 6'7", can move, and people are making those comparisons. That's just barbershop talk. It's just barbershop talk, because it would never, you know, who knows how that could play out. What you do though, when it's all said and done, as you look at what they've done, right? You look at their hit list. What have they done? And Tyson Fury's hit list is weak. It's weak. Like, there's two names on it, really. Right, you have to look at the hit list, and you have to look at the body of work, and you have to look at longevity, and you have to look at championship defenses. You have to take all those things into consideration. And once you take all those things into consideration, Tyson Fury is nowhere near. He's nowhere near on the list. Like, you can't have an argument to say that Tyson Fury is a top 10 heavyweight of all time, because the body of work and the championship defenses aren't there. The reason I say all that is because when you look at the hit list he's mentioned, you chuck all those names in back to back, then you can start having a conversation about Tyson Fury. You can legit start to have a conversation about Tyson Fury as being one of the greatest heavyweights there ever was. You can have a conversation. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but you can have a conversation, right? Because you can say he's cleaned up his era. He's done that. He's had back-to-back tough fights, back-to-back title defenses, back-to-back really mega shows. You can't say that right now. You can't say that. That's why when I always look at the best heavyweight of all time, I always say Muhammad Ali, because you're talking about longevity, you're talking about championship defenses, and you look at the body of work and you're like, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Say what you want about Klitschko. Klitschko could only fight what was in his era. Vladimir, this is what I'm talking about. And you look at championship defenses, you're like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? You do that, right? Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, Larry Holmes. You think, oh my God, championship defenses after championship defenses. You look at Tyson Fury and you think, you are capable of having back-to-back defenses. But I think even Eddie Hearn did something, didn't he, the other day, when he's like, one thing you can say me and Tyson Fury have in common is that we both have no title defenses. Tyson Fury has no title defenses. How crazy is that? His first title defense, fingers crossed, is coming up October 9th. But he is capable. That's what annoys me about Tyson Fury, and I think that's what infuriates everyone when it comes to Tyson Fury, because I think everyone thinks he is capable to have these title defenses. Do I think Tyson Fury beats Dillian White? Yeah. Do I think Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder in this rematch? Yeah. Do I think Tyson Fury beats AJ? I think he's favourite to beat AJ. I'm not quite sure if he does, but he's favourite. Then he could have more title defense. He could literally go on and on and on. But unfortunately, I mean, the record books say that he doesn't do that. And it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. So when he does sit on the stage and talk like that, you think, just do it then. You know, that's what I think. I think just do it then. There is not one person, not one, that watched that interview yesterday and was like, wow, Tyson Fury is legit going to do this. No one. No one thought that. Did you? Like, did you really? Did you think that's possible? No. And it's a shame, because he clearly has all the ability. Like, I mean, say what you want about him, whether or not you think he chats shit, whether or not, whatever, say what you want. Tyson Fury is a 6'7" boxer that, like, can box. Do you know what I mean? He's a legit boxer. can play the mind games. I mean, can do a bit of everything. And now we know if he sits on his punches, and I think we've always known this, but if he sits on his punches, he can crack a bit. He can crack a bit. So he's got a lot going for him, apart from the bullshit. That's what he's got a lot going for him, apart from that. That was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? Fucking hell, I've been ranting a lot recently. Tyson Fury's promoter, this is Frank. You can't change Deontay Wilder. He's too old. You can't. I mean, and he's right. I remember when Floyd Mayweather Sr. tried to change Ricky Hatton. Do you remember that? Like, he coached Ricky Hatton, and all of a sudden he's trying to get Ricky Hatton to do things. And I'm like, and Ricky Hatton's, I think, a better boxer than Wilder, right? But better boxing ability, but he couldn't change. After like a round, he reverted back to old Ricky Hatton. It was like, you can't change. It's too late to change or try and... I mean, what you can do, though, is get him to maybe stick to a game plan a bit more. I don't think all of a sudden he's going to start bouncing on his toes like Muhammad Ali and flicking the jab out. He's not going to do that. But he can stick to a game plan a bit more, be a bit more disciplined. Because I always think that Deontay Wilder goes a bit wild when he thinks you're hurt. And maybe this is, look, so far it's worked, right? He's only had one defeat on that resume, so there's no point trying to unpack it now and say it doesn't work, because it clearly does work. But every time he thinks you're a bit hurt, he goes for the kill. He gasses out. He gets caught a couple of times. He's been lucky a few times. I remember against Ortiz, the first fight, like, he was out on his feet. I think it was round 7. Obviously got his second win and was able to kind of get the stoppage. But maybe if Malik Scott can work on that. But in terms of working on his boxing ability, then yeah, I don't know about that. I'm with Frank here. I think he's a bit too old, a bit too long in the teeth for that one. But we'll see. Should I even mention this? But we'll mention it anyway. Jake Paul, our next opponent. Tommy Fury is at the top of that list. I mentioned it. We shall move on. Interesting. Filip Hrgović there. Saying Radoncic, who he's fighting, is brave. A lot of top heavyweights refuse to fight me. See, there's a reason, and Hrgović knows this. It's not necessarily that they're scared to fight Hrgović. There's not. But what's in it for them? I mean, is there a bucket load of money? Like, is there a massive check in fighting Hrgović? No. Is there a world title in fighting Hrgović? No. Does Hrgović sell out an arena? Probably not. So, like, aside from getting in there and saying, I beat Filip Hrgović, you don't get that much for fighting Filip Hrgović. You don't. And that's no disrespect, but you don't. Like, for example, if there's an option for you to fight Chisora, say you're fighter A, and you got an option, and your manager comes to you, and you got Chisora, who's got double-digit defeats, and you got Hrgović. Like, you get more money fighting Derek Chisora. You fight Derek Chisora, in fact, in a full arena. You get the full arena, you get more money, and potentially it's easier. Why would you then go and fight Hrgović? Your manager brings those two to you. What do you do? Give me Chisora, please. Why am I going to go to Hrgović, who is tough as old boots and like brings very little to the table? Very little. If Hrgović was the kind of guy that in his home country or wherever, in America or the UK, sold 30,000 tickets, I think a lot of people would jump it because, like, it's a big payday. It's a pay-per-view fight. It's not. So apart from, oh, I beat Filip Hrgović, there isn't much you get from it. And that's going to be difficult for his promoters and managers to navigate unless he gets himself into a mandatory position. And even then, the motherfuckers might vacate. But unless he gets himself into a mandatory position, there's not much. There isn't much. Billy Joe Saunders, I think. Did I touch on this yesterday? I don't know. I feel like I might be repeating myself. But Billy Joe Saunders has come out and said that he's going to retire, or the only fight, the only fight he will take is Chris Eubank Jr. If the money is right, that's the only fight he wants, or he's calling it quits. I'm shocked with that. How old is Billy Joe? 2 seconds. 31, 32? What is he? 32. When is he 33? So, okay, he just turned 32. Like, I mean, unless the injury is so severe where he's kind of been told, like, you need to maybe call it quits. I mean, he's not had brutal fights, is he? He's not like, you look at Billy Joe Saunders is not one of those people you look at and think, my God, he's had a tough paper round. I don't. I'm trying to think of the tough fights he's had. Apart from Canelo, there's not many life and death performances, is there? So the reason I say this is because I think there's still a lot left in Billy Joe. I mean, mentally, if you can get over that defeat, and that's very difficult for fighters to get over, right? Especially if you were that confident. I mean, you look at Prince Nassim Hamed, who was super confident back in his career, could never get over that defeat to Barrera, had one fight and then called it quits. Said it was due to family reasons, but I think mentally it was just too difficult to get over. And maybe Billy Joe might be that guy as well, but I think there are more fights for Billy Joe to have at 32. I think right now is where you have big fight after big fight after big fight. There is no, like, you don't do any warm-up fights, any gimme fights, you just go straight in. But look, I mean, if the last fight is Chris Eubank Jr., then, I mean, that's a big pay-per-view fight over here. It's a big, big fight between those two. It really is. Again, I don't think both are shot-worn. There's nothing, like, it's not like a Kell Brook, Amir Khan situation. Chris Eubank Jr. looks in great nick. Billy Joe Saunders just had one defeat, and that's to the pound-for-pound #1. And he was doing well in the first, 3 to 4 rounds. So I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it at all. It's a big fight. If it's on Sky, as I said, it will do pay-per-view. It will definitely do an arena. Good fight. I'm trying to think who I favour in that fight right now. I think I'll still favour Billy Joe, if I'm honest with you. I think haven't seen much from Chris Eubank Jr. in the last couple of years. Has anyone seen it? Has anyone seen it? I haven't. So I would favour Billy Joe. But yeah, I'm shocked that it's come down to that, like, that's it or I retire. That surprises me, if I'm honest with you, because again, I think there's a bit more left in Billy Joe. I really do, but I wonder if it's a mental thing rather than a physical thing for Billy Joe. All right, is there anything else? Let's quickly have a look on whose Twitter page. We've got Mike Coppinger's Twitter. Let's see if he's tweeted anything. What's the time? 10:36. I'm getting up really early nowadays, by the way. Really, really early. Just because I like to go gym early, get the day underway. Like, I feel like I've done so much already. Done this, done gym, go to work. I'm actually going to see Trevor Noah today at the O2 Arena, which should be a hell amount of fun. He's a Golden Boy. Put a post together, little video, saying who wants to see this fight. Ryan Garcia versus Jojo Diaz. Yep, sign me up for that one. It's good. Good fight. 2-6. Not much here, you know. Not much here. I believe that that it's done. The purse bids. Remember, there was a purse bid situation with Crawford Porter. I don't think it's going to purse bids anymore. I think they've agreed, and the fight will go down in November, which is good for us. Very, very good for us. Good fight, that. 2-6. There's nothing really. 2 seconds. All right, peeps, we are done. Oh, what's this one? No, that's shit. All right, we are done, peeps. Have a good day, everyone. Peace and love.